Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So I think it's probably safe to say that a lot of people are going to call the LG V60 their phone of the year. LG did a fantastic job with this phone. Now I started off with the white version because they didn't have it with the case in the white version, and eventually kept that white version until I could actually get the blue version because, well, can't have them both. So starting off with the white one that I had, it was just a single phone, and that is how a lot of people are probably going to use this device. They're going to have just one, and then that opens the door up to you to get either color. Now honestly, I'm definitely not a fan of this color. A lot of people are. I'm not. I like the white version better, but that's just personal preference. As you can see, I do have it out of the case because I normally, when I'm using it, if I'm not using the dual screen, I just carry it just like this. The case obviously is another story, and we'll talk about that, but just the phone itself is nice. And having bought this phone at launch, it was the white version, but I still bought the V60 at launch, was totally impressed. The battery life is fantastic. There's a lot to like about this phone, which is why I say a lot of people are probably going to call this phone their phone of the year. Now, if you compare this device to other phones that are considered quote-unquote flagships, you're going to notice that this doesn't have a high refresh rate. It doesn't have facial recognition. But it does have things that the other flagships don't have, which is the headphone jack has a really big screen, and it has an option for a secondary display. And that's just a killer thing, considering the price of this device is still much less than some of the other phones out there. You do get a 6.8-inch display, which is beautiful. You get a nice speaker on here. You get killer cameras. The cameras are just fantastic. And more importantly, the battery life that's in here. This phone has a huge battery inside, and it utilizes it. So the software on here is LG software. You can change that if you want to and put a different launcher on there. But I think that nowadays, you know, the troubles that LG had with their launcher is pretty much gone. People don't really focus too much on that. There's no one walking around saying that they're having boot loop or, you know, things like that. But if I could call out any issue with this device, it would probably be the Wi-Fi. Sometimes the Wi-Fi, if the phone sits idle overnight and then I come back the next day and I want to power it up or, you know, just turn it on, I'm unlocking it, the Wi-Fi sometimes won't just get back on Wi-Fi. I have to reboot the device. My white version of this phone, the first phone that I had with just a single and no dual screen, it didn't do that. I had no problems with Wi-Fi. But this version, this phone right here that I have, might have some Wi-Fi issues. I don't know, but I'm not going to return it and exchange it all. I'm not going to go through all that. But because if I reboot the phone, or sometimes it doesn't do that all the time, but it, you know, does it a couple times in a day if the phone sits idle for a long period of time. So you've got a big screen. You've got a big battery, you've got fantastic cameras, and then you have this, an option for a second display. Now this is something that, you know, foldable phone, and it really folds all the way over, and you can use it like this with the phone inside. But foldable phones are gonna really become a thing. And, you know, this is just flat out beautiful. When I bought this phone the first time in the single display version, I was blown away. Now that I have it with the dual screen, I'm even more fascinated because, simply put, this is multitasking. So I can, you know, swipe it over and put it over to that side, then I can actually open up a completely different application and have two things going. And that's ultimately why you're buying this. And then also you're buying this for gaming. Gaming on here is just stupendous. This entire side converts to a controller, and you can turn on the controller right here. Let me see if I can get it for you. There's an option on here. It'll pop up on the bottom left down here where turn this down. There we go. You swipe over and you go gamepad, and if it's available for the game, it'll pop up and it'll let you know that gamepad's available for this, and you just hit the switch and turn it on. And you can actually change through a bunch of different gamepads, and I think that's really cool. It ultimately, you're getting this phone, drop test almost, you're getting this phone for this reason right here, to game with a real gaming setup, and you're getting it to have some serious gameplay and multitasking. So there's also a second browser on here too, where you can use this other browser to use the phone with. It kind of gets into a dual screen thing here. The Naver Whale. I think this is a second browser or something like this. Start without sign in. Yeah. So this is, I've never started this. I just use Chrome, but here it is. So, you know, the V60, while in this case, it's terrible. I mean, like, I don't mean terrible in the sense that the phone is bad. I mean terrible that it's a brick. The V60 is already a huge phone. And this case, while it doesn't make it like that much thicker, it's definitely bulky. It becomes just so heavy. But the plus is you don't need to buy a case if you don't want to. You know, you just use this case. And let me see if I can get it to focus on here. A different texture is on this case. It's like a ridged back, and you can see how that's how it goes. But you know, ultimately, you know, this case turns this phone into a brick. I don't like on the bottom though that special adapter you have to have. I said that in another video. It just should have been Type C. Period. It just should have been Type C. There's no reason for that. But the reason is because if you make Type C available on here, you know, you then open the floor to other people making cases for this device. At least that's what I would think, that's the reason that they didn't do that. Because if you put something that everyone can access on there, everyone will start making more versions of this case compatible with the device, and then it'll sell better than the LG case. You got it? So overall though, putting this case on here, this is how I travel with it when I'm traveling with it, when I'm using it, you know, moving about with the phone. I didn't buy any cases because I thought, well, I paid $100 extra just to get this case, so I'm going to use it. So I think a lot of people would definitely call this phone their phone of the year because of all the things, all the perks that it has. I mean, it's true multitasking, a huge battery, which will take you easily a few days, lots of screen on time, just a lot going on with the V60. And when you think about that, there's no other phone doing that that's going to cost you $800. Even without the case, the phone is $700, and I still think you could probably call it the phone of the year for a lot of people. A lot of people might say it's the phone of the year. You got this big screen, you got all these goodies. You know, the software is not bad. You hear people saying, oh, the software is horrible. If you're a real Android fan and you know about Android, because only the people in the tech world are saying this, oh, the software is horrible. I don't hear any consumers say that the LG has bad software. And I know a lot of people that are non-techies and they use LG phones and they love it, you know what I'm saying? So, but if you're just really into a phone and it's Android, you know that you can change the launcher. That's just a weak argument for phones today. And furthermore, this software isn't bad. It's not clunky. It's not slow. It's really fast. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the phone doesn't have facial recognition, but so what? You got your fingerprint reader and you got a pen. Or you can do the knot code. Or you can do the pattern. There's plenty of ways to or just don't use anything. But I don't recommend you do that. But hey, it's up to you. But I feel like in this day and age, there's not a lot of phones that are going to intrigue people enough in order to get them to spend a lot of money. People are financing phones now too, so I can't believe a lot of salespeople, well, at T-Mobile, they really push this phone. I know they're selling a bunch of them, but I can't believe the tech world doesn't give praise where it's due, and I feel like the V60 is going to probably always maintain some level of that is relevant and in its existence in the tech world. I think it has to be someone's benchmark. The G8 was my benchmark, and now the V60 is the benchmark for me, really, when it comes to spending money on the device. Because you look at Samsung's attempt at the A71 to come out to carriers on Friday, and it's $600, $100 more, and you get a V60, or $200 more, and you get a real powerhouse device. So you make a choice ultimately on what you think is a great fit for you. But I'm telling you, the V60 is just one of those all-around good phones that can almost do everything you want, if not do everything you want. So what's not to like about the V60? You'll get people out there saying, oh, you know what? If it had a high refresh rate, I would buy it right away. You're willing to spend hundreds of dollars more just to get a high refresh rate. And just for the record, for those that are going to say, well, the OnePlus 8 doesn't cost hundreds of dollars more, it costs the same, and it's got a better screen. Yeah, okay. The OnePlus 8 cameras suck. Let's just be clear here. My OnePlus 7 Pro cameras are better. And then the software experience on the OnePlus 8 is the same as the other OnePlus devices. There's nothing fancy about it anymore. It's nothing that stands out anymore, in my opinion, having purchased them. So, with that said, this phone is really fast. And yeah, it doesn't have like this warp charging and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so what? So what? Doesn't have a high refresh rate. So what? This is more phone when you consider comparing it next to the OnePlus 8 or the OnePlus 8 Pro. So in a social media age, people focus on cameras and they focus on being able to get on their favorite apps and things like that. And this phone can take it to another level. It's your man Jay, the V60. Is it your phone of the year already? And we're just at the beginning of 2020 or almost in the middle of 2020. Oh, wait. June. We're in the middle of 2020. What's your take on the V60? If you don't have it, I recommend it. If you do have it, tell me in the comments how you feel about it. Take care.